Look, it wouldn't be a Monday morning without a couple of tech issues, right? Especially when you're giving away a free cruise. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron Baker with Travelocity, and we are super excited over here at Travelocity because not only are we kicking off Cruise Week, but we're also giving away a free cruise right after this hangout. So apologies again for the technical difficulties. We are super excited to be here and talk to some representatives from Carnival and Holland America and take your questions toward the end of the hangout. Thanks so much for joining us. Carnival, we've got you on the line. We've got Holland America on the line. We've got Adolfo Perez, VP of Sales of Carnival, on the line, as well as Mary Schimmelman, Senior Manager of Social Media, on the line as well. We're talking tips and tricks and things to make your cruise a little bit easier, but we're also talking about some of the cool things that Carnival's doing and that Holland America is doing. So thank you both so much for joining us on the call today.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So first of all, I want to kick off and talk about some of the cool things that you're doing ship-wise and some of the cool things you're doing as respective companies as Carnival and as Holland America. But first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the 7-day giveaway. We're giving away a 7-day cruise to the Caribbean courtesy of Carnival Cruise Lines. All you have to do is to win is put a question over here in the right side of the Google Hangout. We may answer your question on air, but if you do that, you are entered to win. And after this hangout, we'll give away that cruise to one lucky winner. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Also on Twitter or on Facebook, even though it doesn't enter you to win for the cruise, please ask us questions. The hashtag is Cruising with Travelocity, and we're on Twitter at twitter.com/Travelocity and on Facebook at facebook.com/Travelocity. So now that all that stuff is out of the way, we're going to kick off. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Carnival Vista because that's Carnival's first, or I should say newest ship that's coming next year. So Adolfo, can you tell us a little bit about the Carnival Vista? I know, we've talked about it at length. Super excited about this ship. It actually has its own Twitter handle as well at Carnival Vista on Twitter. Can you tell us a little bit more about the ship and perhaps the destinations that it's going to and more?
Sure, happy to. So Carnival Vista is under construction right now in Italy at the Malfalcone shipyard, and Fincantieri is our actual shipyard. And she is going to be our biggest and most innovative ship ever at Carnival. The ship is going to have a lot of cool features that our guests have always loved, and then some new stuff that are even first time for cruise ships at all. So we're really excited about some of these features. Like, for example, the Carnival Vista will have the first ever IMAX theater at sea. It's going to be a 3-story high screen. It's going to be the same experience you get on land when it comes to an IMAX theater, so you'll have a fully immersive experience watching these great movies that are specifically made for the IMAX screen. We're going to have movies that are actually running at the theater at the same time, as well as some of the short films that are really, really great for the IMAX experience. So be prepared to really enjoy yourself in that theater. Then we also have this brand new thing also. So a couple of years ago on our Dream Class ships, we introduced our Sky Course, which is a really fun course where you can walk around kind of suspended from a rope around these really interesting obstacles, way above the sea. And this year on the Carnival Vista, not only are we going to be doing the Sky Course, but we're also going to be adding on a brand new feature called Sky Ride. And Sky Ride is this amazing suspended bicycles or recumbent bikes. You kind of like sit back in them, and they're 150 feet above the sea level, and they wrap around the tracks actually wrap around the whole middle to back part of the ship. So you get amazing views, and you get to race your friends or family, or you can just take a leisurely stroll on your bike around this really cool track. So those are two of the first ever on a cruise ship that I wanted to talk about. And then we've got some really great changes to some of our dining experiences. So we've had these great specialty restaurants on the Carnival ships that we've introduced over the last several years, and these are going to be taken to a new level. And that is a lot of our dining venues are going to also have al fresco dining. So, for example, at Fahrenheit 555, our amazing steakhouse will have seating outside of the ship. So you're going to get these amazing sunsets and really, really get to enjoy your dinner, either indoors or outdoors. So pretty excited about that as well.
Very cool. So you can get a good steak, you can have some adventures on board the ship and go to some cool places. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's
There's
awesome.
way more stuff to talk about, but I want to let Holland America have some time.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, speaking of Holland America, Mary, you guys have the Koningsdam coming soon as well. Can you talk, just a little bit about the Koningsdam and what to expect on that?
Absolutely, Aaron. We're very excited about the MS Koningsdam. She's going to join our fleet in April of 2016 next year, coming out into Europe and then sailing up to Holland for the traditional inaugural with the all of the fanfare that the great Dutch fans put on there. Koningsdam has a number of really exciting new opportunities for our guests. We've got 3 different sort of areas that we've focused on really expanding and doing some new things with, and those include the design aspects, the interior design, culinary, and entertainment. And on the design side, we've got Adam D. Tahani, and including Bjorn Stormbrotten, and they're 2 really well-known interior architects, real famous designers that have done some amazing, beautiful work. So far, we've seen renderings, and it's over in the shipyard now, starting to get built out, and we're seeing all of these things come to life, and they're going to be beautiful. Some real light, airy looks to things. And you can find it all on our website at Koningsdam.hollandamerica.com. On the culinary side, of course, our guests are very interested in food and wine, and we're really taking that up a notch with our Culinary Arts Center. We're going to have a farm-to-table experience where we're actually growing some of the elements of the food that everybody will be eating in the Culinary Arts Center itself. We've got special refrigeration units, and we're partnering with a company out of Northeast called Copper Crest in order to do that. And then we've also got Celle de Mer, which is this fabulous French brasserie. We've got the Pinnacle Grill that's got a whole new design and look to it, which is our fabulous steak and fish house that everybody loves. And then on the entertainment side, we've got some super exciting things. We've got a new venue at sea, and this one is called the World Stage, and the concept is got 270-degree panoramic LED screens, so it's like totally immersive. The seating is in a round, if you can imagine the theater in a round with screens all around you. It's going to be really fabulous. In addition to that, we've also got a new partnership with Lincoln Center Stage, where we'll have world-class musicians performing on all of the sailings, as well as partnerships with both the B.B. King Blues Clubs that we have out on all the ships. B.B. King All-Stars play in the Queen's Lounge, and the Queen's Lounge has been all re-engineered with a 2-tier structure. It's a really neat-looking concept. There'll be a fabulous open dance floor for people to dance to the B.B. King All-Stars. And then our final partnership on the entertainment side is with Billboard on board. So we've got Billboard Music, and they're going to be basically, it's taking our piano bar concept and just blowing that out and having all of the fabulous Billboard music that people have been enjoying for years and currently, and playing those. So people are going to have a lot of choices when they board the Koningsdam, and we're very excited to welcome people aboard.
Very cool. So I have a follow-up question to that, but first of all, I want to pause just for a second and say, be sure to get your question in. Actually, I guess it would be that way on your screen over at the Q&A section on the Google Hangout, because you can be entered to win a free 7-day cruise courtesy of Carnival, and we're giving that away right after the Hangout. But Mary, just a quick kind of follow-up question to that. We talked a lot, and I've seen this on the sites as well. It's cool to me that you can jump on the ship and you can get, LA-based cuisine, Chicago-based cuisine, New York City-based cuisine, all of these different types of cuisine without actually traveling to their respective places. Not saying that all those places aren't awesome, but you can get all of those in one, let's say, 7 or 10-day cruise. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of the culinary options and how cool that feature is?
Absolutely. Well, we partnered with a number of very well-known chefs recently, within the last 5 years, and they're called our Culinary Council. So we've got David Burke Townhouse out of New York. We've got Elizabeth Faulkner, also out of New York. Mark Best, who is a well-known Australian restaurateur. Johnny Boer, who is a 3-star Michelin chef out of Holland. And Jacques Torres, which is the man of chocolate. He's our dessert and patisserie. And all of those chefs have created menu items to have on all of our ships in the main dining room. In addition to that, we've partnered with Le Cirque out of New York, and we do what is termed these days as a pop-up restaurant. So once a cruise, we totally reinvent that space, take down all the wall hangings, put up the old photos of Sirio and Jackie Kennedy, and it really changes the environment, and it's a real fabulous experience. And that food is coming direct from the New York Le Cirque chefs who come out and train with our chefs on board. So it really is an authentic experience. And in addition to that, we partner with Food and Wine Magazine, who provides us with guest chefs that sail on around 70 cruises out of the year. So you can find a local chef that is maybe an up-and-comer, named one of the best upcoming new chefs, who's actually going to be out sailing in the Caribbean, and you can sail along with them, take a culinary class from them, cooking in a small environment right next to them, also with cooking demonstrations. And then finally, not to forget about the beverage part of food and beverage, we've just announced this fabulous new partnership, and it'll be the first time ever out at sea to have a dedicated blending room with the Chateau Saint Michel, which is a famous partner out here in the Northwest that is one of the premier wine providers throughout the Washington and United States. And we are going to be allowing people to taste their red blends, and then actually take the various wines and blend their own carafe of wine to take to dinner. So this is going to be really exciting, and we just had a big event where we were able to do that out at the winery a couple weeks ago with our Culinary Council chefs. They had a little competition. They all blended their own wine, and we did a tasting, and it was very exciting because, in fact, with the blendings, the table that won was the travel agent's table that didn't have any of our Culinary Council chefs at it. So it was a very fun experience.
So I'm hungry already.
People are going to yeah.
Now, I actually got a quick question for you, Adolfo. We are obviously talking about sailing and ports of call. One of the things that appeals to me about Carnival is you've got a ton of ports, and a lot of those are very close to where people are located. Can you talk a little bit more about that advantage with Carnival?
Sure. One of the things that makes taking a Carnival cruise really, really easy is the fact that we have 15 home ports around the U.S. So whether you're in New York, you're in Baltimore, you're in Florida, California, Texas, now even in Mobile again, we have a ship close to you. So about 50% of the U.S. population lives within a 5-hour driving distance to one of the ports of calls that we have. So it really takes a lot of the hassle out of going on a vacation because, and also the expense. So if you think about, hopping in a car and driving several hours to get to a ship versus having to pack up the family, go to the airport, how fun that experience is going through security, being there an hour and a half before, it just really, really makes the whole cruise experience a lot easier. So you have the ability to drive to your port of, your home port and get on board the ship. And when you get back, your car is waiting for you and you're ready to go again. So the fact that we have them in so many different places, I think really makes it an ideal way to, start cruising.
So I'm going to go ahead and head down to Galveston because we're in Texas. So I'll see you later. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I would love to start off a Monday with a cruise.
We have 3 ships, and we actually have 3 ships in Galveston. So
that's awesome. So I want to jump to some of the Q&A because we're getting blown up in a good way with some great questions here on the Google Plus Hangout. A couple of quick questions. Kayla asked, she has a restricted diet. She wants to know, are there any gluten-free options or perhaps vegan options, things like that available? And Adolfo, I'll start with you and then kick it over to Mary.
Yes, absolutely do. We encourage anybody with a dietary restriction to make sure they let us know ahead of time when they're making the reservation. And also, once they get on board, to make sure they have an opportunity to speak with their waiter and as well as the maitre d' to make sure that whatever dietary needs they have, we can work around. So there's definitely gluten-free options. There's low fat. There's spa selection. So depending on what you need, we can work in making sure that you have exactly what you need on board.
Very cool. How about you guys, Mary?
Absolutely. We definitely have a full range of vegan and vegetarian menus available in all of our venues. I'll echo what Adolfo said, is to make sure that you or your travel agent let us know in advance if you do have restrictions, because then they can really tailor it to the type of experience that we want each guest to have. In fact, if you let us know in advance, you are presented with a special menu that gives you various choices. So it's not like there's just one thing that you can choose off the menu. It's very diverse. And in fact, with the Lido Market, we have a new concept where we've got market stations from Asian to bread basket sandwiches, and all of those as well have gluten-free, vegetarian, etc. options. So we welcome people to travel just like they do, and eat at home, so that they don't have to worry about anything, and they just get to enjoy their vacation.
So, and this is actually, both Richard and Greg asked a very similar question, so I'm going to try to merge these questions together. Richard's question was, what's the best cruise for couples if you're traveling by yourselves? The other question that Greg had was, are there ships or perhaps trips that are, hey, that rhymes, ships and trips that are available, that are perhaps maybe with less kids or something that's a little bit more geared towards adults?
Well, I'll take that one.
Okay.
I was going to say, so at Holland America, we definitely have a diverse mixture of guests on board. Our longer voyages, is the tip that I will give is that if you're going to take a longer voyage, you're less likely to have younger kids on board because, that with their schedules and so forth, usually you see families traveling on our 7-day sailings, but we have some fabulous 10, 12, 14-day sailings throughout the Med, Australia, New Zealand, South America, and those are all great experiences that you probably are less likely to have families on board. But regardless of when there are families on board, we have dedicated spaces for adults and children so that everybody can be together and yet have their own space and enjoyment.
That's awesome. What about you, Adolfo? Or Carnival, I should say.
Yeah. Well, Carnival, so we do carry quite a few families throughout the year. But, as she was saying, we definitely have different times of the year where you see, more children on board. So obviously the summer months, you also like spring break time, some of the holidays, you're going to have a lot more families on board. And we definitely have a lot of different programs for the children. So even if you're on board a sailing where there are a lot of children, they are occupied. There are clubs specifically for different age groups. Our Camp Ocean is great. We have 4 different age groups that can participate in those, and the counselors we have on board really do a great job of making sure they're having a great time, so that the adults and their parents can have a great time as well.
That's awesome. And speaking of, Tate, kind of to follow up on that question, well, since Adolfo, you were last, we'll kick off with you. What activities are there on the ship or ships, I should say, for children? Let's say 5 to 8 years old.
So that, there is a clubhouse specifically for them, and the activities are good for them. So they might have face painting, they may have some arts and craft things that they get to do. They may have some learning about the ocean, or they may have the ability to do like a scavenger hunt throughout the ship. So it's really age appropriate things that each of the different clubs offers for the kids on board. So we wouldn't do that for the kids who are teenagers. They probably have like a soft drink party at their club, Club O2, where they can enjoy and dance and enjoy some games as well. So everything specifically for the ages that they belong to.
That's awesome. And how about for Holland, Mary?
Yeah, on Holland America Line, we have the same age range from 3 to 17 with dedicated spaces and groupings for those various ages. 3 to 7 is called Club HAL, and they have lots of different activities that are geared towards that age group. One of the fun things that we do up in Alaska, and this is actually for all of the ages, is they're able to earn a Junior Ranger award from the park rangers in Glacier Bay National Park. So they go through a program of some education. They get to actually, touch the fur of bears and seals and different animals that they're seeing in their indigenous environment, and answer a few questions, do some coloring in a workbook, and then they get the park ranger in his official hat or her official hat will present them with their Junior Ranger badge and certificate, and it's really exciting for them. And we do the same, types of things that Adolfo was talking about, the scavenger hunt. We have a sport court up above that the kids like to go play soccer and basketball. And in the evenings, we actually have great programs with, pizza and pillow parties and watching movies and so forth. So the adults can go out and have dinner by themselves, maybe at the Pinnacle Grill, and enjoy a little adult time. And that allows everybody to enjoy themselves. The kids much rather hang out with each other than hanging out with the adults at that point in time.
That's for sure.
That's definitely for sure. So another question, What time of year, or is there a particular time of year that you should travel to the Mediterranean? Is there a particular season or a particular time? I've gotten that question a couple of times on the Hangout chat. I'll start with you, Adolfo.
Well, there's definitely a season for the Mediterranean. Next year, we are going to be back in Europe for the first time in 4 years. So we're really excited about having the Carnival Vista sailing out of Barcelona and Athens in 2016. So yeah, typically the seasons run sometime between like April-ish and October. Obviously you want to make sure that the weather's nice for the guests on board. So typically you would see that, that would be a warmer time of year. Earlier, like the April and May sailings are probably what we consider shoulder season. Those are the ones that are typically not as full as the middle, high season summer sailings. So if you're looking for a deal, sometimes those shoulder seasons are better. But yeah, that's when we offer those sailings, and I would venture to say that Mary would have a similar answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We are, Holland America, Holland is just right there in our backyard. And so Europe is where we really explore. We have over 150 ports worldwide, or just within Europe. There's 500 ports worldwide that we visit, and 150 alone in Europe, both the Mediterranean and the Baltic. Typically, we have 5 to 6 ships there throughout the April to October months. And as Adolfo said, the shoulder season, April, May, and September into October is a great time to cruise and look for some super deals on pricing. But also, it's a wonderful time to visit those ports of call. You go into Rome or Copenhagen, Berlin, and you've got less tourists. You're not competing for as much of the museum lines and so forth as you might be during the high season in July and August when it's a little bit hotter. So you get to really immerse yourself in that culture, and so that's always a good tip to think about if you've got the flexibility to cruise not in the high season. But the Mediterranean, the Baltic, we're doing some really fabulous cruises around Great Britain, United Kingdom into Scotland and Ireland, and those are very fun cruises. And we also visit the Black Sea and the Aegean. So just take a look at our website. There's a number of different options on all of our various ships that sail Europe, and we love showing Europe to our guests.
I'm gonna have to tell you though, that was a trick question, because there's actually no time that's bad to take a vacation. So no, I'm just messing with you. All times are good times to take a vacation. So we had, last but not least, we had a bunch of questions on Facebook and on Twitter, and actually in the chat as well, using the hashtag Cruising with Travelocity, where people were asking what are some common tips and tricks that you can share for traveling. Perhaps they're first-time cruisers, perhaps they're even experienced cruisers, just things that you've seen across your time in the industry. I think for me, one of my tips that I always give people is, make sure that if you're flying in somewhere, let's say, you're flying to Vancouver to pick up a ship, or you're flying into Seattle, make sure you allow yourself an extra day, because not only can you see the actual spot itself, spend some time in Seattle or Vancouver, you're not flying out 4 hours before the ship's supposed to depart or anything like that, where if your flight's delayed, unfortunately, you miss your vacation and have to perhaps pick it up somewhere else. What are your tips and tricks, or 1 or 2 tips and tricks that you would bestow on people that are either first-time travelers or even experienced travelers? Mary, I'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the number 1 tip that we always suggest to people, is to make sure that you're arriving to your destination to join up with the ship a day in advance, even a couple of days in advance, because if it's an embarkation port, you might not get to spend as much time there as you do in the other ports of call when you're just getting on the ship and getting settled and so forth. And in fact, many of our sailings in Europe, we have an actual overnight at that port of call. So like Venice, for example, is one of the ports of call where you board the ship, you settle in, and then you get to go out and explore. You can spend the evening out in Venice. The ship overnights in port, and then you have the whole next day to explore Venice as well, and then we sail away. Because it's such a popular destination, it makes sense to just stay there as a floating hotel. The other tip that I love to share with people is to make sure that you pack in layers when you're visiting Alaska. So the weather can be very changing, and the idea, and the Alaskans will explain this, like you pack like you're an onion. So you've got your base layer, and layer it on top with a sweater or a polar fleece. make sure you bring a rainproof jacket because there can be rain in those ports of call more often than not. But the weather changes a lot as well. So by the afternoon, it may be that the sun is broken out and you're nice and hot, and then you can peel off your layers just like an onion and really enjoy yourself.
Nice. Adolfo, what about you?
So one of the things that I would recommend is, going on a cruise, it's not just about being on the ship. It's obviously the destinations that you're going to. So whether it be a Caribbean port or a Mediterranean port or an Alaskan port, there are so many things to do when you get off the ship, right? And I think that what happens sometimes is people are hesitant to book their tours ahead of time. But, you don't want to be disappointed when you're on, this maybe once in a lifetime cruise opportunity to Europe or something. And you don't want to miss out on these really fantastic tours that we and Holland America and all the cruise lines put together. So book them in advance. Make sure that you pick the ones that you want. There's a lot of information on websites about these tours, and it's really, you don't want to be disappointed. And there's some really popular tours that fill up really quickly, even though we plan for the capacity. So that would be a way to probably avoid some disappointment on a cruise. I will say this other thing, and I know that you were talking about potentially first-time cruises, and I wanted to point something out. It's not so much a tip, but it's a fact that I'd like to share with the audience. At Carnival, we are so confident that you are going to have a great time on your vacation, that we have an actual great vacation guarantee. And that means that if any time within the first day of the cruise you decide, you know what, this isn't for me, we will actually help you get back home, refund your full cruise plus 10%, and actually give you a discount on a future cruise. And, it's something that rarely ever gets used. And we, like I said, we are so confident that they're going to have a great time, but we want to make sure that they know that if they don't, we'll take care of them, but more than likely they're going to end up enjoying their cruise fantastically. So sometimes people are a little afraid to try out a cruise for the first time, and I think that this really gives people the confidence to go on a cruise because they know that they're covered. So Carnival is the only cruise line that offers it in the industry as far as I'm aware of. Again, like I said, it is unique, and it really could give somebody peace of mind of trying a cruise.
So I don't know about you guys, but go up. Sorry, Mary.
Oh, I was going to say, I 100% agree with Adolfo on that. The first-time cruisers that we have sail with us, one of the things that they'll find out, if they do make it past that first day and then on, through the rest of the week, is that cruising is such a fabulous and convenient vacation. It allows you to have all of your time to really enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the destination, enjoy the people you're with, because you get to the ship, you unpack once, you're able to just settle into your home away from home, and the ship moves you to the next port of call. So you're able to just wake up in the morning, get yourself dressed, and out the door off the gangway to the next port of call, and people really enjoy that. And that's something that we hear frequently from our first-time cruisers to say, wow, I didn't know how convenient this was. It saved me so much time. I didn't have to hassle with trains or cars or hotel check-in and out. So that is definitely a tip to share with people that are considering taking a cruise.
So I don't know about you guys, but hey, it's 10:42 here. I'm ready for some good food, some good wine, and a European vacation. So I'm going to go ahead and leave. No, I'm just messing. But it's good to talk about all this stuff because it's exciting. People, whether it's their first trip or their experienced cruisers, these are great opportunities or great things that they can do on Carnival and on Holland. And actually, somebody's going to win a cruise at the end of this hangout. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to call out Holland America and Carnival as well. They're on Twitter. Carnival's on Twitter at Carnival Cruises. Holland America's on Twitter at HAL Cruises. Excuse me, it's Carnival Cruise on Twitter for Carnival. So be sure to follow them on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We look forward to welcoming you aboard.
Thank you. Hey, I'll be there this afternoon.
Excellent.
Thank you guys so much. And be sure to follow us as well. We're on Twitter at Travelocity, on Facebook at facebook.com/Travelocity. Continue to ask us those questions, and we're going to give away a 7-day cruise at the conclusion of this hangout. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more on that free 7-day cruise, courtesy of Carnival Cruise Lines. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.